After graduation, after I started work, I was a mess financially. I didn't know where all my money went. They seemed to just come and go. When the money comes into my bank account, I was happy, and then I just spent whatever. But every time I spent, I felt this sense of guilt. I had a lot of guilt with every single purchase I've made. I had a lot of anxiety about what's happening to my money. And after 2 years of being like that, not knowing whether I actually saved in that year at all, I couldn't take it any longer. I couldn't just let myself be guilty all the time for any purchase that I've made, whether big or small. I felt guilty every time I ordered Starbucks instead of kopi from a kopitiam, or even feeling bad for ordering kopi from the kopitiam because I have 3-in-1 coffee. It was terrible. I felt guilty. I felt anxious. I felt anxious about where my money was going. And even though I was buying ETFs like everyone was recommending, I don't know if I was buying enough. I don't know if I was on track. After I sat down, took time to research, try to get things together, try to set it up, and after a few more years of tweaking my system, I feel so much better now. I feel like I don't have as much guilt when I buy things, even though they might be expensive. I don't feel guilt going to courses anymore because I know it's an investment into my future, for example. This is why I created this video. I'm creating this video for people who were like me back then, always full of anxiety, always full of guilt when they make purchases. I want to let you know that buying things for yourself is okay, as long as you know you can make that purchase, as long as you know that making that purchase doesn't deter you off the path to financial freedom, which is what I think most of us want right now. Most of us millennials are looking towards that. Today I'm sharing with you 5 relaxed steps towards financial clarity. So to relieve all this guilt and anxiety, you need financial clarity. You need to know what's happening to your money. This is step 0. This is not in the 5 steps, but I want you to do this throughout all the 5 steps, throughout everything you're doing. Every time you sit down and you tell yourself, okay, I need to get my money settled today, and you're not doing it, take a pause and ask yourself, why am I not confronting my money? Why am I not taking steps to get things clear? Why am I not doing this? Why am I not doing that? I feel like these questions are really important. Are you coming from a place of fear? Are you afraid of facing your money? Or is it because you think it's such a big step? You think it's so huge and insurmountable that you cannot handle it? You need to confront those feelings. You need to break it down for yourself and tell yourself, no, I just need to take one small step first. I need to take one small step. You have to do this throughout all 5 steps I'm talking about today, because it is relaxed, but it's not easy. To get financial clarity, it takes your time. And it's easier the earlier you start, because you have less things to look up for. You have less accounts that you have, for example. Okay, without further ado, this is the first step. I want you to know where all your debt and all your money is. I think that is the first step that you need to take. So whether you want to take a notebook, start writing it down. Okay, I have this account in OCBC, I have this account in POSB. These are banks in Singapore, in case you're not Singaporean. Or I have this bank account in Bank of America, for example. I want you to write down all your bank accounts. That's the first thing. I want you to next write the loans that you have, in case you have any student loans or any kind of other loans that you have. If you're older, you might have a house loan or a car loan. You need to write all that down. Those are your long-term loans, and then I need you to write down your short-term loans. And what are short-term loans? They're usually credit cards. So write down every single credit card you own and use right now. If you're not using a credit card, still write it down just in case, on the off chance you ever use it. Once you know where all your money is, at least have all the account details down so you know how to log in, how to check your money, how to access your accounts. I think all that is really important, and then at least you can have that first step done. Like, okay, I know where all my money is, I know where I owe money. If you can, it's even better if you can note down how much at this point in time you have for each account. And then this gives you an overview of your finances. So already you feel clearer, already you know right now, at least I have a snapshot. I don't know whether I'm on track for the future, but at least I know right now how much I have. Now the second step is plotting towards your future. And this step is really important. It is to start recording down your expenses. This is how you estimate and budget your money. So I'm not telling you to right now be super good. I'm not telling you to be super good right now. Like, you can't spend any money, you want to hold tight and then note down all your expenses. I'm not saying that. I'm saying spend as much as you would on a normal day, in a normal month, and then start noting down how much you spend. This can be a relaxed step. I actually note down to the cent that I spend, but that's because I like that clarity and brings me comfort. And if you're not that sort of person, if you're more of a loose person, you don't want to be so hard on yourself. If it's $4.90, write down $5. If it's $5 and you don't want to write 5, you can write $10. It's just a rough estimation of how much you spend, and this is so important because this helps you chart towards your future. You know how much you're spending right now, roughly every month. Writing down how much I spend or taking it down on my phone in an Excel sheet. This is one of the most mind-blowing financial habits I've gained in my 20s, and I think it's so important. I think everyone should be doing this. So even if you're using a credit card and you can see your credit card statement at the end of the month, it is still always better to write it down so you know how much you're spending or be more aware of your expenditure. But I promised you this will be relaxed, so give yourself a break. If you missed a few purchases, it's fine. Don't tell yourself, okay, I missed a purchase, I failed, I forgot how much I spent. It's okay. Just note down as best as you can, at least for 1 month. And then that's when you can have a solid way to budget. And that is the third step, budgeting. You might not be using a budgeting app right now, you might be, but what is most important is you start budgeting. It can be on paper, it can be in an app, it can be in a Google Sheet, anywhere. But what I mean by budgeting, my view of budgeting is envelope budgeting. Basically, can you imagine you have cash in your hand, and then you have different envelopes named different things like spending, free spending, food, transport, savings, investments. These are all different categories, and what happens in envelope budgeting is you take the money and you put it into each envelope so you know that's all you can spend for that month in that envelope. And if need be, if you really get over that limit that you set for yourself, which you shouldn't be, you should be trying your best not to, you can take money from another envelope. And this happens for me all the time when I'm taking money away from food. So I eat less so I can spend more elsewhere. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say it, but that's what happens for me. And I usually have a higher utility in things compared to food. So you can do this on paper. You can write down the category, write down how much you're going to limit yourself. And how you're going to limit yourself is based on what you've been tracking, so you roughly know how much you're spending per category, for example. This helps you save because for me, you should always budget the envelope for savings and investments first. That's how you know you're on your way to financial freedom. That's how you know you're on your way for your financial goals. Put that money aside first, and then the leftover, that's how much you can spend for yourself. And it makes me feel so much better knowing that the money is out of the way, out of sight, that I cannot handle it, that I don't need to touch it, that it's for my future self. I've already apportioned that for my future self, and my future self can chill out, you know? The retirement fund is there. So there are many ways of budgeting, like I mentioned. You can search on YouTube to see how people budget, but for me, I use something called Aspire Budget, who is done by this guy called Sapphire Rapids. He's amazing. He's offering this budgeting Google Sheet for free. I will probably make a walkthrough of how I set it up myself, for myself, and how I use it on a daily basis in the future. If you're interested in that, let me know. Comment down below. Okay, so at this point, we are done with 3 relaxed steps. The first one is to know where your money is. Number 2 is to record down your expenses. Number 3 is to budget. So if you have all these 3 steps down, the 4th step is pretty important. It is to always check your bank statements and to reconcile your accounts. I think paying off your credit card is really important. You should be doing that on time every month, and you should be checking your statements. I recently had a friend who went on a trial for ClassPass, and he didn't know, and he paid $99 per month for 3 months and did not even use that subscription, and he paid it off without checking his statements. He assumed he spent some money and he just paid it off. I would never do that. That would never happen for me. I check every single statement. Okay, that looks reasonable. That looks like what I've spent, and I check against my own expense tracking. Like I wrote down how much I spent, so I know roughly. Okay, yes, this is reasonable. I think this is correct. And even if I miss a few, like $20, $30 that I spend more, I just give myself a break. I just let it be. So it really is up to you, but this helps prevent you from spending money that you didn't spend, or if someone used your credit card maliciously, this is how you find out. So log in every month. I set a calendar event for myself so I know when to actually check in and pay my bills every single month. I also want to talk about how important credit cards are. It's important to build your credit history as early as possible. So if some of my friends, they don't believe in credit cards, they don't get them, I think it's not fair to yourself, it's not helpful to yourself, and I can explain why in a future video maybe. The next step would be to pay off debt and start investing. So these 2 steps are quite complicated. You need to make your own decision because in some cases the interest rate from the debt is less than the returns you get from investing, that is when, it gets confusing. Should I pay my debt off first? Should I invest more? What is the right step? Because investing doesn't really have a guaranteed rate of return most of the time, unless you get such a great fund, but it's really unlikely. So you really need to make that decision yourself. I might talk more about investing in future, especially in Singapore, but there are so many different ways you can do it. I used to buy the IWDA using Standard Chartered. I also buy the STI index using Standard Chartered. Now I have a robo-advisor. I can talk about robo-advisors in future. I don't know if I recommend them, to be honest. I need to test them out more, see the results, especially because I know the fees I'm paying them is kind of compounded. I could lose a lot of money in a way. But I really think credit card debt is really a high percentage. This is the first priority. In most cases, unless you have a great investment opportunity, you should be paying off your credit card debt first. Once you finish that first 4 steps, this 5th step is really about moving towards the financial freedom and knowing that you're on track, because you already put a envelope to pay back your credit card debt. You know what I'm saying? I hope this video isn't all over the place. I tried my best to break it down into 5 simple steps for you guys. I know that there's a lot of hesitation in going into all these steps. I've often encouraged my friends to go try. They still feel hesitant, they feel scared, they don't want to know their financial situation, but I think they miss the point, because knowing about financial situation can help you turn it around, and that's the hope you should have, to turn yourself around and make things better for yourself. Then you don't have to feel guilty about spending, you don't have to feel anxiety because you don't know where you are and whether you'll be fine in the future. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them down below and I'll try my best to answer them. If you have any other suggestions for me, leave it down below. What other steps am I missing out on? What other steps you are taking to increase your financial clarity and wellness? Share them down below. I'll be more than happy to discuss. I'm trying to build a financial wellness community, but most importantly, I want it to be relaxed. I don't want to feel stressed about this, and I don't want to stress people out on this. So yeah, I just hope this was helpful. Please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And you guys have a great rest of the day. You take care. Bye.